Okay, well, good, Brian. Brian Alstead is with us here from Find My Electric, and we're going to turn it over to him for a presentation. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, great. Well, thanks, guys. Happy to be here and have the chance to chat with some Tesla and EV enthusiasts about kind of the state of the used market and all things Tesla related in terms of production delays and kind of how that impacts pricing in the used market, and then touch on a bunch of things related to questions that we get a lot. People have asked, can you flip a Tesla if you have a reservation, you reserved at a lower amount? Can you sell a reservation? Can you profit in any way from a Tesla sale? And what are some considerations to think about in that way? We get questions like that a fair bit. And yeah, so I think I'll just start. I've got a presentation prepared. Kind of jump in a little bit about Find My Electric, about us, kind of who we are, what we do, touch on a few things there. Then I'll jump into the stuff that everyone came here for, the used Tesla data, used market data. And then if you'd like, at the end, open it up to Q&A. If anyone has any questions or people pop in somewhere in the middle, happy to just take questions on the spot, go from there. All right, let me share my screen here and get this queued up. Just give me a moment. All right, looks like David, you're muted there. Can you just nod if you can see that okay? Okay, all right, great. All right, so just jumping in, we're Find My Electric, and we like to say we're the ultimate used Tesla marketplace. We've been around since 2019. Find My Electric was founded in 2019. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so we're local here to the good old US of A in the Midwest. Founded to serve the needs of growing Tesla and EV communities. We've been live to listings for about the past 18 months or so. So taking listings from anyone from the public who wants to list a vehicle for sale, also from dealers. We are the #1 used Tesla site in the US by traffic and volume of vehicles. Find My Electric is #1 in the USA and probably the world. However, we don't know for sure on that, but based on what we've seen, yeah, most likely in the world, although we're still restricted to US for Tesla listings. We have thousands of buyers and sellers that connect daily in the marketplace, and we've had over 100 million in vehicle value in Teslas listed that have passed through Find My Electric, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in new Teslas listed and sold on a daily basis, with new vehicles listed every day, all day long. And kind of a announcement of sorts. We've been the #1 used Tesla site, but EVs are on the horizon. Soon we'll be opening up to all makes and models of EVs. So we'll have Rivian, Lucid, Hummer, Nissan, all the above. Won't be hybrids, still be electrics, but we'll be open to all sorts of makes and models of EVs. And we like to say Find My Electric is the most technologically advanced platform for both buyers and sellers. We have some really in-depth filtering options and sorting and ways to kind of get to the bottom of exactly what you're looking for in an electric vehicle that you can't find in a lot of other sites. And I'll just jump into a little bit about our story, how we came to be, kind of what gave us the idea for Find My Electric. So I'm Brian. I am one of the co-founders of Find My Electric, and Brian and Dan, we are kind of guys who started Find My Electric, and we've got a team behind it, and kind of came from the idea initially that I was looking for a used Tesla. Like a lot of people, you think, hey, I'll just, rather than buy a car you drive it off the lot, it's worth, immediately $5,000 less if it's, an expensive luxury car. Why not just buy a used Tesla, save a few bucks, avoid that depreciation hit? And I was frustrated with the options that were available to me when I was looking. Like Tesla's own used program, it used to be actually beefier than it is now. They used to call it the CPO, certified pre-owned. They've kind of since dropped that moniker, but it's kind of an afterthought. They're really, their primary focus is on selling new vehicles. And then sites like Auto Trader, I was looking on there a few years back, maybe I could find something there, and so many of the big buying and selling sites to this day are geared toward ICE vehicles. You go to search and filter, and it's how many cylinders do you have? How many cylinders? What type of transmission? And you can't. There's no way to select. Well, I want a 2018 Model X 100D in obsidian black metallic with 7 seats. Like, how do you even find that in a mess of random vehicles and kind of littered with dealer ads, and you can't see anything? So I just got really frustrated with that. There are a few existing EV sites, but they really lacked the proper searching, sorting, filtering, UI, UX, just didn't really work that well. And so kind of the idea of Find My Electric was born from me looking at trying to find a used Tesla and being frustrated. And so we thought, we know how to build things. Dan and I both come from SaaS background. Some people on our team have been involved in SaaS companies for a long time as well. Developers, software engineers, graphic designers, things like that. And Dan and I have a real deep background in the SaaS industry. We've founded and developed and sold other companies in the same industry. So we've got a lot of experience, and so it made sense to us. We thought, hey, you know what? We know how to build things that work, that people like. Let's just make this, because it doesn't exist. And then that'll serve the broader EV community. It will help other people get access to use Tesla at a decent price, where it's hard, because if you want to enter the market, and let's say you don't have $100,000 to spend on a new Model S and your budget is 50 or 60, how do you do that? What do you do? Where do you search? And obviously there are sites that, like Auto Trader, like I mentioned, that have kind of tried to fill that gap, but we just didn't think it was filled very well. So we thought, let's build it. And then we wanted to make it, but not just make something, that sort of worked. We wanted to make it what it was like to say Apple-esque. I don't know how many guys are Apple and Android, or where the split divides among everyone here, but you know how you can take an iPad and you can hand it to a little kid and they just know how to use it. It just works. We wanted everything to work really well, flow very well, be very intuitive with the interface, with the searching, sorting. So people could find what they're looking for, people could sell, and customer service was premium. It is and always has been. Find My Electric is the only used vehicle marketplace that I'm aware of in existence that has texting and phone support. So when you see that 1-800 number at the top of our site, you can actually text us, and a real person in Minneapolis will answer and respond to you, or you can pick up the phone and call someone. And it's kind of funny, because we actually get, sometimes people will call us and they'll say, hey, I know you guys aren't Tesla, but I've tried to get a hold of them like 4 times, and I just need an answer on this one thing. Do you think you can help me? Just kind of funny. Sometimes we get that. And so we're always happy to help out, when we can, but that's become an important feature, an important thing that people like for customer service. So with the whole site and timeline, development began in 2019, and we went live to listings in early 2021. And by the end of 2021, we're the #1 used Tesla marketplace by traffic volume and vehicles listed. And as I mentioned before, we're launching to all EVs this summer. And we have a unique instant offer program that features EV-only dealers. That is something that I'll touch on in a little bit here in the future, but something that we developed from the ground up and has been very popular with all of our customers. And in terms of what we offer, the main three things that we offer, there are 3 different ways to sell your Tesla. There are what we call a featured listing, free listing, and an instant cash offer. And just kind of in terms of why would you sell on Find My Electric versus another website, we have the largest Tesla audience. So we're the #1 online Tesla marketplace. You reach thousands of active shoppers, Tesla shoppers each day. It's a one-time listing fee. So there's no seller fees, no buyer fees, no subscriptions. You just pay one time to list. That's it. And the listings never expire. You list once, your ad stays up till it sells. So there's no duration you have to manage or worry about, upgrading or re-upping in a certain amount of time. And so I'll jump in and kind of explain how each of those work. So featured listing, it's $49. You get 20 photos, you get free auto check report, and that's the same vendor eBay uses for eBay Motors. If you were to just jump in and buy a report from AutoCheck, it'd be about 25 bucks. And we found their data to be superior in a variety of ways to Carfax. I know Carfax is kind of a household name. A lot of people know about AutoCheck because of eBay, but AutoCheck has a lot better integration and different things that you can do with their data and display it in different ways than Carfax does. So we're really happy with them as a vehicle history report vendor, and we've heard great things, great feedback from customers. So that's one kind of tenet of a featured listing. And then you get featured on our homepage. You get expert pricing help, is what we call it, and that's been insanely popular. Basically, we'll build you a pricing report similar to a real estate appraisal, send that out, and then give you a suggested range as far as, here's kind of the low end, here's the high end, and you can, take that information in consideration and adjust your price based on that or not. Some people say, hey, I'm really set on where I am here, but I'd like to know your input if I'm accurate. Some people have no idea where to price their Tesla and they really want some direction from us. So we send over a pricing report, and then just manually we'll talk to people if they want and help them dial in, hear their concerns, with what they're looking to do and timeline. Like some people say, well, I've got this old Model S and my Model Y is finally coming and I need to get rid of this in 4 days. So what do I need to list it at so that I can sell it fast? And other people are, they have another vehicle coming in 2 months. And so they just kind of want to sit on it, see what people say, if they get a lot of inquiries and go from there. So we really dive in and help with the pricing there. That's something that's been really popular with our featured listing. You also get contact info displayed on the listing, and we obscure the phone numbers, just show the area code, and then the remainder of it is obscured and you have to complete a spam challenge. And in 18 months of active listings, we've never had a phone number scraped. In fact, when we were in development, I put my own personal phone number out there just to see what would happen, just to kind of test the durability of our anti-spam algorithm. And my phone number hasn't been scraped. I don't get any warranty calls. I don't get any crazy calls like that. No spam whatsoever. So helps buyers connect with sellers. When you display a phone number, that's optional. Of course, you can display as much or as little information as you'd like, but it's something that does help connecting buyers and sellers. And it's a benefit of featured listing. You get bolded in the search results, you get top listing positions, you get view counters, analytics, and live support, email, text, phone. And I like to say that's an industry first, because I have not seen anyone else who has text and phone support in an automotive marketplace. And from our experience, you'll send a message or open a support ticket and you'll be lucky if you get an email back a few days later. And with us, you can literally pick up the phone and call and get help right away. So people have really enjoyed that. So featured listing, that's our main mode of selling. And then the next option is a free listing. We have completely free option. Unfortunately, it is stripped down over the featured listing, but it's great for people who just want to test the waters. So It's 3 photos instead of 20. The listing doesn't expire. You don't get support. You're kind of shown below the featured listings. You don't get your contact info shown. You don't get analytics. We don't help with pricing. We used to, but there's so many listings now that we just don't have the bandwidth, and we kind of reserve those features for the paid listings. You also get access to what is the #1 used Tesla marketplace at no cost. And the question we get all the time is it really free? What's the catch? It is totally free. There's no catch. You don't owe us anything. There's no buyer fee, seller fee, nothing. It's absolutely free. And people list for free every day. It's just a stripped down version of the paid listing, basically. And we wanted to make sure that it was accessible to everyone. And we wanted to ensure that we had the largest selection of used Teslas among any marketplace. So hence the free option. And people, we've had great feedback on that as well. And then the third way to sell your Tesla on our site is instant cash offer, is what we call it. And that's kind of similar. You guys may have seen like a Carvana, CarMax type situation where you can, submit your car, request an offer, they'll buy it, come pick it up from your driveway. I'm sure everybody's seen the billboards and bus benches that CarMax, Carvana is on everywhere. So we took a little bit different spin on that. We curated a network of dealers who are electric vehicle dealers only. They don't sell gas cars. They don't deal in gas cars. So that means that they know a little bit better what Teslas are worth. And from our perspective, that also means they can offer you a little bit more because they understand what full self-driving is worth. They understand if you have a rare color, if you have obsidian black metallic, for example, that's my favorite Tesla color. It's not made anymore. If you have supercharging, free unlimited supercharging that transfers, they understand all of those things where, Carvana, you may just get a big algorithmic quote and that's kind of it. And they don't take into account some of those things. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low. It kind of all depends, but it's not super nuanced. Another benefit of that is you can sell fast without haggling. You don't have to show your car to private parties. Another different thing about our instant offer program is it's virtual. So you don't have to drive your car anywhere to get inspected. Everything's done virtually. Some of the other popular instant offer providers or vendors, companies, you have to drive your car somewhere to get it inspected or schedule a time where someone's going to come out and inspect it. Another criticism we've heard of other companies is that there's kind of a bait and switch situation where you may be offered a certain amount initially on your car, and then they'll devalue it upon inspection. And I won't say who, but there is one notable instant offer company that you've probably seen in a lot of places that is quite visible, and they are actually the business end of one of the largest auction houses in the US. And so it's kind of interesting. What they'll do is they will put your car up for auction before they even buy it, and it goes to sort of like a pending dealer auction, and then they will reduce the offer upon inspection or later on in the process, depending upon what the car fetches at auction. So it's kind of an interesting business model. They can sell something that they haven't put out sell a product that they haven't put out any capital for. And then depending upon what it sells for, they can reduce their buying cost. But it kind of stinks for people on the other end because they end up being disappointed a lot of times. In the event that your car kind of gets bid up at this pending dealer auction, then they may offer you what they originally told you, but it's kind of like a 50% from what we've seen. So we don't do that. Our guys, our EV dealer network, they give you a quote, give you an offer, and it's good for a certain amount of time, usually a few days, and that doesn't change. And also no random algorithmic quote and disappointment. You get to talk to an actual person. And the way we set up the system is you get multiple offers. EV dealers bid against each other. So I would say that no one is the highest in terms of offer price 100% of the time. So Carvana is never the highest 100% of the time. We're not the highest 100% of the time, but I think we are higher more often than other companies because of the fact that we have multiple dealers. They know EVs. It's not a random algorithmic quote, things like that. and they offer nationwide shipping. We have some on the West Coast, some in the Midwest, some on the East Coast, but they all ship nationwide, and there's no obligation and nothing to lose. So it's a really popular program. People will request an offer and just see, and if they don't like it, if they don't like the offers that they get, there's no obligation to accept. And there's two ways to do it. There's a page, findmyelectric.com/instant-cash-offer, and you can fill out the form there. It takes about 2 minutes, upload some pictures, and they'll be in contact immediately with offers, and the EV dealers, our EV dealer network will immediately reach out to you, and the process starts right away. Or if you list your car free or paid on the site, then it's just a one-click button. And because your car's already listed, we've already got the pictures and everything. That just goes out to them and starts the process there. So that's been insanely popular with visitors, and people have really enjoyed not having to haggle or show their cars to private parties, and just the speed and care that kind of comes from our dealer network. And we call it Trusted EV Dealer Network because we've really taken the time to vet these companies. We have a lot of dealers who've asked us to be part of this program, and a lot of dealers we've turned down because it's our brand and our reputation and our care for our customers on the line, that we don't want people who we don't trust, who won't treat our customers as we do, making offers or representing us in that way. So we've had nothing but positive feedback about it. It's gone incredibly well, and is a really cool option for people looking to sell their Tesla, and soon to sell an EV once we open up to all makes and models here soon. So what we offer for buyers, and because I've kind of been talking a lot about sellers, buyers, number one used Tesla marketplace, advanced filtering. This is kind of it for listings. There are a handful of other sites, but in terms of volume, and of course, some people post, some people will post on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and then on our site as well. But in terms of volume and exposure, it's really, we're clearly number one at the top of that. So if you're looking for a place with the most Teslas, there isn't one more than us. And all listings are manually viewed by a real person in Minneapolis. So when you see a car, it's not, it's had a person's eyes on it and checking through the listings. And we have a lot of automated spam checking and filtering, but we also have manual review. Every car that is listed goes to pending status, whether it's paid or free, and it's manually reviewed by a real person in Minneapolis. So we have zero tolerance for spam and dead non-responding cars. We're constantly sweeping the marketplace and checking for that. We don't want dead cars. We don't want cars that have been listed forever that people don't respond. So it's another benefit for buyers. We're very, very hands-on with that. We have, like I said, a lot of automated processes, but we also are very manual about it too. And then we have advanced searching, sorting, filtering. For example, we have all the Tesla colors, and we're going to do the same thing that's rolling out with Rivian and Lucid. And so if you click black, for example, you want to filter by black cars, it will drop down and it will show you solid black, obsidian black, metallic. If you click white, it'll show you, pearl white, multi-coat, metallic white, just all the Tesla colors they've had. We filter by seats. That was something we didn't have initially, but people requested that, so we added that in. It's just become very popular for people to want a 7-seater or a 6-seater. So we have a seat filter. And then also for buyers, we have phone, text, email customer service and support. And one thing that's coming soon is text and email alerts. We have a bunch of features we're rolling out to kind of try to help buyers more in this tough market, but alerting is something people have asked for that's coming this year. So say you're looking for a 2018 Model X 7-seater, in pearl white multi-coat or red multi-coat. You need that specific thing. You'll be able to set price range, colors, any sort of criteria that we can filter on. And then the minute that it's listed, you'll be notified immediately. And you can configure text and email alerts. And it's kind of to help buyers. Obviously the used Tesla market is tough right now. Prices are high. It's kind of a seller's market in a lot of ways because of production delays and things. And I'll get into that here shortly, but anything we can do to help buyers. So that's coming pretty soon. So kind of now that you guys know a little bit about what we do, who we are, how we started, where we came from, we'll jump into the stuff that everybody probably came here from, or everybody came here for today, kind of the ins and outs of the used Tesla market. So kind of things I'll touch on today, and what you'll learn are how production delays affect used Tesla pricing, which Tesla models are the most desirable in the used market and why, answering questions like, can you sell over MSRP? Can you flip a Tesla for a profit? Can you sell a reservation? I'll touch on factors that influence buyer behaviors, and aftermarket mods, software, things like that. How long it takes to sell a used Tesla and how to speed that up quite a bit. How to find a good deal on a used Tesla. And spoiler alert, it's getting harder. And then Rivian, Lucid, Hummer, and kind of the new EVs that have gotten publicity recently and become available, how that's affecting the market. And then some common buyer and seller FAQs, and then I'll just open it up to questions if anyone has one, so we can go from there. So I'll jump right in. Production delays. Tesla is behind on everything, and it's not getting better anytime soon. Direct quote from Elon, he said, "Oh man, this year has been a supply chain nightmare, and it's not over." So it's not looking good for Tesla in terms of production delays. Hopefully next year, Q2, Q3, somewhere in that range, we'll see get a reprieve a little bit from this as things, kind of loosen with the supply chain restrictions and stuff like that. But for current present day and the rest of the year, it's not looking too good. It's not looking like this will improve a whole lot. Obviously things can unexpectedly improve, but most people, including us, are kind of expecting the rest of 2022 at least to be kind of tough in terms of production delays before we get any relief there. Production delays by model. I pulled this last night. The worst is the Model X long range, 2023, like across the board, March to June. The Plaid is a little bit sooner, end of summer, fall. Model S kind of into next year, late fall next year. You can kind of see the trend if you guys have looked at all that, the long range in anything is backed out quite a bit further than the performance. Say if you wanted a Model 3 performance, you could get one this summer, most likely. And then of course, Cybertruck, LOL, in terms of the time, and Roadster, LOL. Who knows when we're gonna get those. I reserved my Cybertruck the night of the presentation. I think it was shortly after the window shattered. That was whenever they said, hey, and you can reserve one now, or maybe even before that, I was looking on their website, and that was that was 2019, and still no Cybertruck. And we've all seen the pictures from the Tesla Gigafactory of that Cybertruck going around, and Joe Rogan's Instagram where he's showing one. But I would absolutely love to have that Cybertruck for this Minnesota winter to blast around in a foot of snow, but I don't feel like that's going to happen. So yeah, unfortunately, these are kind of the ranked delays by model, and it's not that great if you want a long range one, and that does really impact the used market. So if you look at used Tesla desirability, this is kind of a model by model breakdown based on internal sales data, EV dealer feedback, auction data, and a few other sources. The absolute most desirable used Tesla right now is the Model X long range refresh with the yoke steering wheel. And consequently, that's the furthest backed out in terms of production. Number 2 is the long range refresh with the yoke steering wheel as well. Number 3, Model Y long range, and then kind of goes into the Model 3 standard range, which has been earlier in this year backed out to next year. It's improved slightly. Model X long range, then non-yoke. Model S long range, non-yoke, so 2021-ish, and then kind of everything else is equal after that. I would say that desirability is very congruent with the production delays, and so is asking price over MSRP. If you have an X or a Y with 7 seats, that adds another bonus to that. Those are very desirable. So this kind of, all this ranking sort of touches on, you know, if you have one of these, how likely is it that you can ask over MSRP or get a premium for it? How quick will it sell? Obviously, there are a lot of factors that go into how quick something sells, and I'll touch on those in a little bit here in the future. But the number one thing is price. So, you know, if you have a 2018 non-refreshed Model S or Model X and you're selling it cheap enough, it's going to go fast regardless. But all things considered, this is kind of the list of which models are the most sought after and move the quickest at the moment, assuming that price is reasonable. Selling over MSRP is a question that we get a lot. Most desirable Tesla models can absolutely sell over MSRP without a doubt. We're seeing Model S and X long range, the refresh, 10K over MSRP. Model Y long range, about 3K over MSRP. And Model 3 standard range, believe it or not, 5K plus over MSRP. And part of the reason for that is there's a gap between you know, the price, the base price of the standard range Model 3 and what
Brian, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
You're the host now. David got bumped off, so you want to make sure he's not trying to get back in.
Oh yeah. Let me stop sharing here for a second and see if he's trying to get back in.
So it looks like Jill's the host now, so at least when I joined, I had a waiting room. And you're muted. There he is. All right.
Sorry. Oh, here, now David's waiting.
Just Jen.
Oh, somebody else is waiting. Oh, I guess they do them one at a time.
There.
Get everybody back in, and then we'll jump back into it.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I was host.
That's okay.
Hello, everyone. If you've been waiting a long time, I'm sorry. David got bumped off and I was the host, but I didn't realize it.
Give David a second to reconnect. It looks like he's working on it.
I got an email from David saying, "Are you guys still on?"
Can you guys hear me?
We can now, yes.
Oh, wow, man. My whole thing locked up here and I've been here for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, not knowing what's going on. Did everything seem to go all right with you guys?
So far, so good on my end, yeah.
We
Did we miss anything?
Yeah,
Did the meeting start already, or what did we miss?
I disappeared and nobody noticed.
You missed a lot, Jim, especially information that you would love to know.
Okay,
Hey,
so
could you repeat a little bit about a 7-seater X? Do you have a 7-seater X, Jim?
no, 5.
Oh, 5. Oh, well then you didn't miss as much as I was thinking.
I can back up to just a little bit to the beginning of that if anybody wants
Yeah,
that.
back up a little bit. Is it all right with you, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go get more coffee. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. If everybody's ready, then I'll go back to sharing, and then I'll back up a couple slides and kind of give me just one moment here. All right. Can everybody see the slides? Is that full screen? Okay, perfect. We'll I'll back up a couple here. We'll just kind of go back to this here. So for anybody,
And if you want to kind of go over what it is you do, just a quick overview.
sure, yeah. So we are Find My Electric, findmyelectric.com. We're the the a used Tesla marketplace. We're the #1 used Tesla marketplace in the US right now. We're opening up to all EVs this summer, and kind of taking the time to present about production delays, how that affects Tesla pricing, what we've seen based on all the data in the used market. Answer some questions like, can you sell a Tesla over MSRP? Can you flip a Tesla for a profit? Factors that influence buyer behavior, things like that. Just kind of give everyone a peek behind the curtain of the used Tesla market, and answer questions about why are the prices so high? How long is that going to last? Kind of things like that. Just use our data. So that's kind of what we've been talking about. And I can move forward here just a little bit. I kind of touched on the fact that production delays are bad. They're not going to get better anytime soon. Probably not till 2023 till we get some relief. Then production delays by model. The long range models are backed out the furthest. This is data as of last night. Standard range has improved slightly. Standard range Model 3 has improved slightly, but still, a few months ahead. If you want a performance, those are probably the quickest ones. Model 3 performance being the quickest. And then used Tesla desirability breakdown by model. The most is Model X long range with refresh, yoke, S long range refresh with the yoke, then Model Y long range, Model 3 standard range, then the non-yoke X and S, and then kind of everything else. It's pretty congruent with production delays. And so is being able to ask over MSRP. X and Y with 7 seats, that adds another bonus. And then people often have the question, can you sell over MSRP? And yes, you can, absolutely. The most desirable models can definitely sell over MSRP. What we've seen kind of time and again thus far is S and X long range, 10K over MSRP, Model Y about 3K, standard range 5K over MSRP or so. And as Tesla's increased the prices again recently, they raised the price on the long range. There's even a bigger gap now. And so for someone to, if they can get a hold of a standard range and it works for them to have, rear wheel drive, it works for them to have that. Some people obviously we're in Minneapolis here, so that we have winter and snow and those kind of delays, things to contend with in the winter. So rear wheel drive here doesn't work as well in other places, but if you're looking for long range Model 3, there's a pretty significant difference in price between standard range and long range. So paying 5K over MSRP still puts you comfortably under the price of a long range, and people are willing to do it. If they can't quite spend enough for the long range and standard range is available in the used market. The performance Model 3 and Y, I would say maybe 1K plus over MSRP. They're definitely not as strong as the others, and that's really because you can get them quicker. And there are more of those in the market because of that. Also, it's important for sellers to know, we always tell people this, you're not just competing with other buyers, you're competing with Tesla themselves. So once you start to encroach too much with your price on the, performance Model 3Y or the Plaid S and X, probably I would say it's like like there's a 5K delta or so between the long range Model Y, for example, and the Model Y performance. Once you start to get too close to that performance price, people will just say, well, I get one of those in a couple of months or less, so I'll just buy one of those. I'm not going to buy your used Tesla. So, we have that conversation a lot with sellers when they ask us for pricing help, because there's a point where you can't really push it further than that, because I'll just get a faster car and I'll get it right from Tesla, and whatever, I'll wait 6 weeks for it. So that's kind of why the Model Y long range, it's kind of that 3K mark, right? You start to get above that and people kind of push back and they'll just buy a performance. So yes, selling over MSRP is definitely possible. Here's some recent examples from our marketplace. So 2022 Model X long range all-wheel drive base autopilot, 5 seats, midnight silver metallic, Tampa, Florida, private seller, sold for 135K. That's 8% over MSRP or 11,000. 22 Model X, refresh, base AP, 6 seats, white, Lincoln, Nebraska, dealer, sold for 139,000. That's 7% over MSRP, so that's 10K. And then another 2022 Model X, refresh, base AP, 5 seats, midnight silver metallic, Chicago, Illinois, private seller, 134,000. That's 7% over MSRP, so that's another 10K. So that these are just some real world examples that reinforce the data from the previous slide. And then the question we get all the time, people ask, can you flip a Tesla? This is highly dependent upon sales tax in your state, the original reservation price, and sort of your tolerance for hassle factor. People always ask, and it usually comes up when a reservation holder finally gets called up for a purchase. And Tesla has slowly been satisfying those reservations. So now we're seeing a little bit less of this, where the reservations are closer to what you could sell it for. The reservation price is closer to the market price now, where previously you had people with a long range Model X or Model S reserved for 85,000. And Tesla finally caught up like a year plus later, and the price is 110 or whatever. So there's just a bigger spread in there. But I would say the main considerations are the original reservation price, sales tax in your state, which is often overlooked and people typically don't know how that works. Any state level incentives that you get, and then how much work you're willing to do to potentially make, say, only $1,000 or $2,000. It's very important to consider sales tax. So we talked to many people who've taken delivery of a Tesla thinking they can flip it. They list it for sale. They reach out for us, ask for pricing help. And we have to give them the bad news that, well, unfortunately, you're going to get soaked for 6.5% in sales tax, which is $7,500 for your Model S, and that's completely going to make you put you in negative numbers. So, and a lot of people don't understand. Obviously the laws are different in every state, but in most states you pay sales tax when you purchase the car. The buyer doesn't pay it to you, or there isn't anything that happens there. So like I'm in Minnesota. If I go and I buy a new Model Y, I'm going to pay 6.5% right when I buy the car. When that closes at Tesla, I pick it up. That's going to be paid to the state, plus title, transfer fees, and things like that. They're going to add on top of that, and that's going to eat into that margin. But the buyer, whoever I sell it to, they're not going to pay me. They're going to pay the state of Minnesota again. So that's a consideration. If you're a dealer, one of the main things about being a dealer is you can hold and resell vehicles without paying sales tax, like a private party has to pay. So in a lot of cases, it's just not worth it, and it's a lot of hassle. I can give you a couple examples here. So let's say you're in Oregon and you reserved a Model X long range for $115,000. Because there's no sales tax on motor vehicle sales, you'd probably be able to sell it for $135,000, given the examples that I showed a few slides ago. Base configurations, profit 20,000 or more. We've seen a few cases of that. Talked to people who have done it, had early reservations, whatnot, but it's rare. And in contrast, if you're in Minnesota, you reserve a Model X long range, current price 123,000 roughly out the door, and you sold it for 135. You're going to lose 8,000 to the 6.5% sales tax. Plus, there's some EV fees they hit you with in Minnesota, plus other random title transfer fees. I mean, it's kind of a slim margin, and that's even worse with 3 and Y, where you don't have that 6-figure number, and it can really not even be worth it. It can be negative in many cases, and unfortunately, some people don't realize that. It's like, hey, I heard the used Tesla market's hot. I'm gonna take delivery of this car, and then all of a sudden they find out that they're gonna lose money if they sell it. And based on some of those factors. Generally speaking, in most states, it's probably not worth it for a 3 and a Y, and also for an X and an S. Obviously, it's a personal decision. Everybody's got to consider that. Also, people ask us, kind of remind people, keep in mind that depending upon where you live, you may owe state income tax on that money, and for sure federal income tax on any profit you make as well. It's not to mention there's a hassle factor involved and a slight ding on your credit if you're taking out a loan. All of that, you know, and you're taking this, you're gonna have to pay insurance for a couple months. That's, you know, by the time you take delivery of it, then you sell it. You know, generally speaking, it's just not worth it in our opinion. There are edge cases, and obviously it's personal preference. People, you know, need to do what they think is best there, but there's a lot at stake, and the margins are kind of slim to just, you know, make a few bucks. So in our opinion, it's kind of not worth the hassle. But it's a question we get all the time, although it's becoming less frequently asked because, like I mentioned, those older Model X and Model S reservations where there was that bigger margin have kind of, that Tesla has caught up with those a little bit now, where a lot of the ones that, a lot of reservation holders are at a higher price. So that's changed this question a bit, but historically, and even sometimes now, it is a question that we get. People also ask us, can you sell a reservation for a Tesla? No, that's it, period. You're not supposed to do this. Tesla does not allow it. And reportedly, they've been more aggressive about canceling reservations for people who attempt doing that. Is it done? Yes, sure. If you look on the forums at teslamotorsclub.com, we're a vendor there. Other places, Facebook Marketplace, Tesla groups, etc. You'll see people selling reservations. And it's like anything else. There are people who work at Tesla, and people sometimes break or bend the rules. But it's a pretty big no-no. If Tesla finds out, they'll cancel your reservation. They don't like that. They don't want people profiting on reservations. They're very altruistic company, you know, sustainable energy, make the world a better place. They don't want people profiting on random things like that. So we don't condone it. We don't allow reservations to be sold on Find My Electric. People have asked that. We don't even allow listings with stock photos or listings where people don't actually have the car physically. That's something that a lot of people, and it's spelled out in the process when you go to list the car, there's something that pops up and explains that. But we still get people almost every day trying to sell cars they don't have yet because they're thinking maybe they can flip them for a profit, or and sometimes we'll have people call in and ask us, hey, I'm about to take delivery of this car. Do you think I should sell it, or, you know, what should I do? Of course, that's obviously up to the individual and the person, but you know, generally speaking, if you're looking to make a profit and you have, you know, a relatively new reservation for any of the Teslas, especially 3 or Y, yeah, it's not even worth it to take delivery of the car. And, you know, Tesla may or may not keep your deposit in that case too, depending upon the timeline. But people do sell reservations, but it's a pretty big no-no, and it's definitely not something we condone. And as I mentioned, yeah, a lot of people want to list cars that, hey, I'm getting this car in a month. I want to put it up for sale. We don't allow that because it's not something you can actually negotiate with people. We feel like it lowers the quality of the marketplace. In some cases, it opens up for potential scams and things. So you got to have the car. You got to have real pictures of it. It has to actually be your car. And it can't be coming in weeks or a month or whatever. So we don't allow kind of pre-selling, and Tesla does not allow reservation selling. So just
I have a workaround that I can suggest. I never thought of it in terms of profiting from it, but one way to, like, I have a reservation on a Lightning, Ford Lightning, and if I don't want to have it, but a friend wants to have it, then I could take delivery of it and register it in his name and my name, and then a month late and have him pay all the costs, you know, the registration, the sales tax, and everything else. And then later go to the motor vehicles and drop off my name.
That's actually, yeah, you know, we've heard of that before too, and that's actually not a bad idea. And you know, Ford doesn't care because you're taking delivery of it, and you're not, you know, yeah. And you know, other manufacturers,
that saves the problem of reselling it and having sales tax.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it definitely does if he pays all of that, you know, and say your buddy's willing to, you know, depending upon how good of friends you are, maybe he just, you know, invites you over to a barbecue, or maybe he flips you some cash or something for that. But yeah, that definitely is something that we've heard, and that's a decent option. You know, I think if you want to do that, and the manufacturer doesn't care because you're taking delivery of it, and the state's also getting their tax money as they should. So, and there may be some small admin fee, right, that you have to pay to amend the title, something like
No,
that.
I don't think so, because I did that recently on another vehicle. I bought a used truck for my handyman, and since it was all my money, I wanted to be on title. But then I had this realization: wait, if he gets sued, I mean, if he has an accident and he's sued, I have all the money, and I don't want to be sued. So I dropped off it was probably $5 or $10, if anything, to go to the local county DMV office and give up my name on the registration.
So
Sure.
Jim, if you do that, who takes the $7,500 federal tax credit?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Doesn't much matter, because that I can trade off with somebody else.
My guess would be, and I'm just I don't have any information on this, but my guess would be whoever claims it, and as long as it's just one person and not two, that's probably
if he's
fine.
on title when it's initially registered, I would think he could, and I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Or she. Could be a she.
Mm-hmm. Sure. No, that's a good point, and I don't see any problem with that process. I think that makes all parties happy: buyers, sellers, state, manufacturer.
So the essence of this presentation is that because the value of Teslas have gone up so much, that you can profit by you can sell your car for more than you paid for it.
In some cases, yeah.
Of course, I have a 2015 Model S with lifetime free supercharging that is has a book value of about $40,000. I paid about $100,000 for it, what would I be able to sell that for if I wanted to sell it?
So that's a good question. You know, I would say, and I kind of get into this a little bit later too, a couple slides ahead, but how book value compares to actual sales price. And so we actually built into our marketplace. If you go to findmyelectric.com/listings, there's a box there that says includes sold listings, and you can check that box and you can see all the sold listings, and that doesn't show you the final selling price, because in most cases we don't know that. We don't know that because, say you list your car on our site and you sell it to a private party, and then you take your ad down, you may likely not tell us how much you sold it for, and that's fine. We don't ask or anything, but we interact with a lot of customers who do end up sharing that data, and obviously we know from dealers who share that data. But it's a good research tool for buyers and sellers, because you can see at least what people are asking that have sold, and usually it's within a few percentage points, so it gives you a pretty good idea. So 2015 or 2014, did you say it's 2015 or 14? 2015
all-wheel drive dual motor 70D. Red.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tesla red, love it.
Yeah, it's hard to beat Tesla red. Yeah, it's probably somewhere. I would say that book value that you quoted is probably fairly accurate. You know, plus or minus a few grand, somewhere in that range.
Oh, okay. So I can't sell it for 90,000. Huh?
Yeah, not so much.
Well, let me tell you what I did with it. I was about to sell it, and then I heard about Turo, Turo, where a car sharing service, and
sure.
I'm currently renting it on Turo. I don't manage it myself. I have a person who manages it for me and takes a small cut. But I'm going to be making close to $2,000 a month renting out that 2015 Tesla. It's already on its third rental for the month. This is my first month of doing it, and so I'm going to be making a lot of money renting it on Turo.
That's great. You know, we've heard some success stories, you know, with people, and that also heard some failures in some ways too. So there was in Minnesota here, we have the Mall of America. It's like the biggest mall in the North America or whatnot. And there's a guy who opened up it's right by the airport, and the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport, and he opened up a service to rent Teslas there. And he ended up going out of business. And for what exact reason, I'm not sure, but I know that they had tons of trouble with people with damage on the cars, and people renting them and just doing a lot of things in them they shouldn't, and smoking and spilling things and crashing into stuff, and then the cost of repairs and insurance. I know that was a factor, at least.
Well, Turo, he probably wasn't doing it through Turo.
No, it was his own business, and again,
no,
I don't know.
I can see that would be terrible, but with Turo, they actually provide the collision insurance. I was told only to have liability and comp.
Oh, really?
Insurance on it, because Turo, and I think they make the renters pay for it. Oh, okay. I've got to walk the dog. So yeah, I feel pretty protected there, and they can charge, and they're on the hook for if they smoke in the car, there's a big penalty for de-smoking it, and all sorts of things. Yeah, Turo.com, check it out.
Yeah, we're pretty familiar with it, but yeah, I didn't realize they had that bonus of providing the collision.
Well,
insurance.
you pay for it, like they take 25% of the rental. But if you go on Turo and you can search by make, and if you go on Turo and search for Teslas, you'll see that there's actually a Model X on there with a $400 a day, over $400 a day rental. My Model S is just $136 right now.
There was a guy who sold locally here, he had his car in Turo all the time. It was a standard range Model 3, and he had fantastic pictures, and he ended up selling it on our site, selling the car, but he had it on Turo for ages, and I guess did pretty well with it.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Jim, there wouldn't happen to be a weekly rate on that, is there?
No, it's a minimum 3-day rental. And there's no weekly rates, it's just daily, and they limit your mileage. And one thing I did, which is really cool with a Tesla, you can put a speed limit on it. So I put a speed limit of 85 miles per hour on it, and I'm constantly getting alerts on my app that that my Tesla has come within 3 miles an hour of my maximum speed limit of 85. So
that's funny. It's kind of a problem inherent to Teslas, right? Like, I don't know how it is with where you guys are, but we have a couple of them now, but previously we only had, a few years back, only one Tesla store and service center here. And at some point they stopped sending out the performance Model S's for loaners because they would just burn through tires too much, and it got to be too expensive.
Well, I could also have put it on chill, where it limits the acceleration too.
Right.
I decided just to limit the speed.
That makes sense. Well,
we're supposed to be taking a road trip at the end of July, and our new van hasn't showed up. I don't trust the old one, so we were thinking something.
The way I heard about Turo was that we have this occasional electric vehicle roundup in our parking lot in Golden. Sure. And at the last one, a woman came with her Model Y, and she said it's not her car. She rented it from Turo and drove to Florida and back, and now she's going to buy one because it was a great experience. Mm-hmm. But this was a Turo rental that she was returning, and she'd driven to Florida and back in it.
Yeah, that show that we did at the Solar Expo in 2018, and I had a Model 3 there. Remember? Mm-hmm. I think you were there. I had rented that from Turo from Nick, somebody at the Denver Tesla Club. Nick, somebody in Boulder, Nick Thomas. I had rented that for the show.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know.
Turo. So that.
Yeah.
Because that was
really, actually in this week's, I write a column in the Denver Post that Brian's not aware of, I'm sure, but I write a real estate column in the Denver Post, and it's a full page ad, and so I have room to have other articles. And so this week I had one of the articles was about this big. It said, "How does a 3-day test drive of a Tesla sound?" And in it, I said that my Tesla is, you can rent my Tesla for 3 days for $117 a day it was at that time. I don't know how many people are going to call or log on to Turo and try to find my car and rent it. But But that's what it's about for me is I'm letting people test drive a Tesla for 3 days.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also making about $2,000 a month.
But you know that Hertz bought a whole bunch of Teslas and they're renting them. I see them all the time. I've seen at least a dozen with rental plates on them.
Rental plates? I thought the rental plates weren't identifiable anymore in Colorado.
Those red and white ones, they still have those red and white ones. There's lots of others because
Oh, fleet. They're fleet license plates. Yeah.
Oh. Well, my own guests always have Florida or some other, my Airbnb guests hardly ever have one of those plates, but I've seen the Teslas with those red and white plates.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, I think Hertz probably charges more than $117 a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they probably only have like standard range Model 3s or something like that.
Yeah, probably don't have any Model S's.
I don't know. I took one of my guests over to Hertz a few weeks ago. The whole lot seemed to be full of Teslas. It seems like there was lots.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Really?
It was in Aurora. It was somewhere, Havana, like, I don't know, somewhere north of Costco on the east side of Havana. And there was I was just so surprised. The whole lot was full of Teslas.
Okay. I'm going to hertz.com and see what they charge.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rental type.
Great. Well, while you're looking that up, if you want, I've got a couple more slides here. I'll just finish up and then we can just chat.
Sure.
Sure. Let me through here. So basically, yeah, selling a reservation, and then to kind of touch, Jim, on what you were saying, you get your older Model S. So in terms of older Teslas, they hold their value very well. Generally speaking, we see kind of low digit percentages in terms of the delta between used Teslas and 30,000 miles or less on those and new Teslas. Obviously, there are always some buyers who will just wait for a few months for a newer vehicle or longer. But most people are willing to jump into the used market and pay. And just kind of give you some quick stats. So 99% of Teslas listed on Find My Electric are greater than 30,000 or more dollars. I've only had 14 vehicles ever of 1,500, actually more than 1,500 listed that are below that price, and only 38 under 35,000. So 90% of all vehicles are over 35,000. So it's really kind of 30,000 is pretty much the floor, even if you want a really old, like 2013 Model S. So that's definitely something to think about. Most desirable features, 6th, 7th seat Model X vehicles. Those are very desirable. The refreshed Model S X with the yoke screen, very desirable. 7th seat Model Y, and anything with transferable free and limited supercharging. And in case people don't know, that's generally like 2017, early 2017 and older S and X that had that. Beyond that, you may have gotten it as a bonus, but it doesn't transfer. FSD, we get this question all the time, like currently priced at 12 grand. It's not worth the full 12 grand in the used market. Why? Because Tesla offers the option now to buy it for $99 if you have EAP, or $199 a month if you're upgrading from base AP. There's just too many vehicles out there that have base AP, and people will just choose those and spend less. A lot of people don't have the 12 grand to spend on a feature like that and aren't willing to, even if they do. So the price increase has not been proportional to what people are willing to pay in the used market. When it was like 6 grand and you could sell a Tesla with it, people were willing to pay more of that. But at 12, they're just not. And now there's the option, to buy it for less than $200 a month, and that's years and years of that price. I mean, they may raise it, obviously at some point, but yeah, it's really worth a fraction of that in the used market, not the full 12K. So if you're buying a new Tesla and you're on the fence about that and you're thinking about resale value, something to think about. How long does it take to sell a Tesla? These are the most important factors. Asking price, like by far the most important. And if you pay for a listing, a featured listing, we help a lot with that, get you dialed in on the price. Vehicle condition, that's absolutely important. Tesla buyers are far pickier than most from what we've seen.
Okay.
Images, they really matter. We can't stress this enough. No no dirty gym shorts bunched up on the back seat, and car seats with cookie crumbs and all the above. If you've got that, it really matters. Tesla buyers are more picky. Take the time to do that. I have the potato up there, potato camera pictures. If you pull up an old YouTube video, that's 7-8 years old, you'll see it's in 240p, and the top comment is always, "What was this filmed on, a potato?" And you'd be shocked at how many people seem to have taken their Tesla pictures. $100,000 car with a potato, the grainy. They pay to list it, and they pay to list it on our site, and the pictures are horrible. So we try to tell them, you might want to take some higher res pictures. Some people just do very well very well images, the sun setting out by the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever, but it really matters. We can't stress that enough. Good images. And then seller responsiveness. Show your phone number if you're comfortable with that. We do obscure it with the spam algorithm. Be proactive. Don't check your emails once a week. It really does matter. Those are the 4 most important things. And if I had to add a 5th, I would say description. People don't necessarily want to read a book, but people like a small story, a little paragraph or, a few sentences. Hey, I'm the original owner. It's been well cared for. Service was done, this and this. I've got, PPF wrap, here, this and that. Just a little bit about the car, a little bit, say there was one little fender bender. This happened. It was repaired at a Tesla certified shop. Just a little bit of detail. Some people will just put 2 words, nice Tesla. And that doesn't really, it's fine. It's not going to prevent you from selling it, but it doesn't go as far as a little bit of a meatier description. I would say if all these factors are optimized, Teslas generally sell in 1 to 5 weeks, sometimes sooner. If the price is real good, can be days, sometimes can be a little bit longer. There are a lot of external factors as well, economic things, whatnot. But with all of these optimized, generally somewhere in that range, instant offers in 2022, market's moving in that direction. Kind of touched on earlier about our instant offer program. You've probably seen sharp increase in popularity over the last couple of years, bus benches, billboards, just in the world of Uber Eats, Amazon Prime in an hour, and getting everything right away with tapping a few buttons. People are less interested in taking the time to sell, although tons of people do, and it's still generally the best way to get the most for your Tesla, although a lot of our dealers offer so close that people just aren't even willing to, they'll just sell it to them. But generally speaking, still selling your own car and listing is the best way to get the most money. And people do it every day, and we have cars that sell every day, and it's still a very popular method. But the instant offer idea is increasing in traction, and more people are going this way than 2 years ago. And obviously we're partial to our program. No one is the highest 100% of the time, although we think we're higher more often than everyone else because of the EV network, because of their EV dealers, because there are multiple dealers bidding against each other. And it never hurts to request an offer from us or Carvana or anyone. Doesn't hurt. If you're thinking of selling outright, it's kind of also a decent way to give you an idea of, a sort of a wholesale value. If you requested a bunch of different places in addition to our site, and then, kind of look at all those numbers holistically, but there's nothing really to lose. It's just a little bit of time, that's it. And it's becoming more popular. Tesla outlook 2022, I think prices are going to remain steady, high. I don't think anything's going to change this year. Looks like it might ease up in Q2, Q3 2023, but for the remainder of 2022, we're still going to see these over MSRP cars. We're going to see 2018 Model 3s for 50 grand, things like that. That's really not going to get any better this year. It's kind of tough for buyers if you're looking to get a deal. Older Teslas are going to continue to hold their value too, like Jim's 2015. We've got years and years now of data on how well the batteries hold up and things like that. So that's not people aren't worried about that initially, right? Like it's 2015, Model S is only a couple years old. Like, how's this going to last down the road? Well, we know that now. They last really well, and so they hold their value. Gas prices are a factor too, with gas being crazy. I don't know what it is for you guys out in Colorado, but we're pushing $5 here in Minnesota. And I mean, it still doesn't make sense for people to spend 60, 100K on a car to save on gas, but more people are adopting, because of gas prices. People are looking ahead in that. So one question we get is, how do you find a good deal? If you're a buyer, it's not the easiest, but really the best 3 things you can do is check every day, check multiple times a day. Good news there is we're rolling out our alerting features this year. So we're going to have text alerting, email alerting, and you'll be able to get notified if you want, if you're looking for a specific Tesla when it's listed, so you can jump on it. I'm still going to be competing, unfortunately, with everyone else who gets an alert, but we're also going to roll out some other features too that should help with that this year. Be flexible about your options and features, colors, software. If you find something that isn't exactly what you want, be willing to give a little bit on that, and don't be afraid to negotiate. Be respectful, obviously, but if you've got a number, and a lot of people are willing to deal a little bit, depending upon their situation. So those things all help. How do other EVs affect pricing? Production is backed up so far all the way around that it just hasn't taken any pressure off the Tesla market, and there's just not enough volume there. Rivian is still pretty low volume. Some examples: Rivian R1T, the launch edition, typically reserved for 85K-ish or so, depending upon options, regularly selling in the 120K plus range. Dealers are asking, 135 for them. If you look on sold listings on other like eBay Motors, you'll see 120, 125 range, things like that. So people who had a Rivian R1T originally reserved definitely are in an even better profit range than the Model X and S kind of ever was. The Hummer EV pickup is insane. 110K MSRP, and they're selling for 220K, like actually selling for double MSRP. And people had probably optioned them up, a little bit more than 110K, but still they're selling ridiculously high. And some of that actually doesn't make the 10K markup on Model X and S refresh look too bad. Then just a couple quick seller questions we get a lot. So how should I price my Tesla in relation to KBB value? I would say KBB is accurate about 40% of the time. The range they give is like dead on, and 60% of the time it's a bit off. If you pay for a featured listing, we'll help you dial in price. And KBB data is one thing we look at. We also look at our data and a bunch of other things, but KBB data is about as accurate as you can get, because Cox Automotive is the company that owns Kelley Blue Book. They also own Auto Trader. They also own Manheim Auctions, the largest dealer auction network in the US, I believe. And so they have a lot of data points. So it's pretty good data, and it's accurate roughly a little less than half the time. It's spot on. So it's definitely a data point worth considering. People ask, how much does an accident affect my Tesla's value and saleability? Get that a lot. Sometimes people don't know that they're the third owner of a Tesla, and it wasn't an accident before, and they didn't know until they actually list it on our site and get the vehicle history report. So the gist of that is, if it's a minor fender bender, was repaired at a Tesla certified shop, not much. I mean, a little bit, like very small, 1-2% maybe in value, maybe even less in some cases. That happens. People understand life happens. Always disclose that. If it's a salvage title, though, like it can be substantial. It can be 30% or more of the value. So that's something to think about. 2 more seller questions that we get a lot. Should I leave my aftermarket accessories on or return the car to stock? Generally speaking, most people know this. I've been a car guy my whole life. You only receive a fraction of what you get. You pay an aftermarket parts back. If you have a supercharger V8 engine and all sorts of things, you're just going to get a fraction of that, what it costs in parts and labor. Tesla buyers are more picky and tend to like stock cars a bit more. So if it's not too much work, return the car to stock. But if you have all kinds of suspension mods and everything, just sell it as is. But it really doesn't give you much of a bonus. People often want the stock Tesla wheels. And if you have them, that's great. But that's kind of what we tell people there. And then people ask, how does a new battery affect the value of my car? A lot of times, it'll get replaced under warranty on a newer car. Sometimes it'll get replaced just before the battery warranty expires on an older Model S. So for an older Model S or Model X, but we see it more often in Model X or Model S, it'll have some impact, but for new vehicles, it's pretty negligible. It's not a massive factor either way. But if you have a 2014 Model S and you just got the pack replaced under warranty, that matters. It'll raise the value, probably a couple grand or so, but definitely not that like, $20,000 number that they quote you to replace it. Some people are like, well, the cost on the Tesla invoice was, you know, $18,000 to replace this battery. So I'm going to ask 10K over what it would normally book at. And that's just not realistic. It's a small bump, but not enough. And if it's, say your newer, you know, couple-year-old Model 3 got it replaced under warranty for some reason, then it just doesn't matter in terms of the use value because it's under warranty and no one really cares about that. Couple quick buyer FAQs. Does free unlimited supercharging transfer? We have 2 blog posts on this and they get tons of traffic and people ask this all the time. For early 2017 Model S and X vehicles with supercharger code SC01, yes, it does. You can check that in your browser by inspecting the source code from your Tesla account, or you can ask Tesla. Sometimes they can just look that up. If you get a rep,
Is that on the VIN?
no,
Is that part of the VIN?
nope, it's not on the VIN. It's actually, you have to go into your Tesla account on a desktop or laptop and navigate to, I think it's like a Tesla options section or something, and then actually do Control U and look at the source code, and it'll be tagged, the source code that's there will be, you'll be able to see that SC01 code, and anything other than that, it doesn't, because Tesla would offer that sometimes like the first year. You know, if you bought, like there's a point where Model 3 Performance, when Model 3 was like the it car, you know, a couple of years back, they would offer that for the, if you bought a Model 3 Performance, you get free supercharging for the whole first year of the car, or for the first owner, sometimes they did. But Tesla stopped doing that early 2017, Model S and X, they stopped, you know, offering that free unlimited that transferred. And same question we get, you know, EAP, FSD, do those transfer? Current status quo is that it does, so long as the car hasn't passed through a dealer auction or an auction house. There have been cases where Tesla has found that out and removed it. But with both of these, it's really important to note, like Tesla owns the software, they own the supercharging network, and these are status quo situations. This is how things have worked the entire time we've had listings. This is how they have worked in the history of used Teslas. But they're holding the cards, and if Tesla decides, hey, no more supercharging transferring to anyone, no more autopilot transferring, people would probably be pretty upset, but they own the software and, you know, and all the fine print when you buy the car, you agree to that. So yeah, I mean, that's always subject to change, although the status quo for the entire history of used Teslas has been this, that they do let that go. So 2 more buyer questions. Can I negotiate with sellers? Sometimes people wonder, you know, car price is this like an auction website? Not on our site. Nope. It's a marketplace similar to if you listed on Craigslist or something like that. You absolutely can negotiate. People generally expect some level of negotiation, even if it's minor, but obviously you always want to be respectful. And then another question we get is, if we haven't heard back from the seller, what should I do? Give them a day or 2. Then reach out to our customer service and we'll look into it. Usually what we do is we ping the sellers on the back end, because obviously we have their contact information, even if they've chosen not to display it publicly, and we'll say, hey, you're getting some inquiries, you know, just a heads up, you want to check your spam folder, or maybe you forgot, you sold this car and you forgot to mark it for sale. That happens sometimes. That happens, you know, people, you list a car in 3 places, you sell it, you forget where you even listed it. We're really vigilant about that. We don't want dead cars on the platform. We don't want non-responding sellers. So, you know, we can reach out, tell them people are interested, tell them, you know, give them the information to the buyers. We do get some people though, like if a good deal comes up, you know, and it's listed, we'll get 2-3 people within the hour that contact customer service, and they'll say, hey, I reached out to this buyer or this seller, I haven't heard back. And so our team will ask them, well, how long ago was it? Well, like half an hour ago. And it's like 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. It's like, well, they probably at work, you know, give them till the end of the day to respond, you know, and then see. And if you give them an extra day beyond that and you don't hear back, then we'll step in and try to connect people. But obviously respecting the privacy of the sellers, we never give out that information. And if they don't respond after a certain amount of time, we do take the cars down, because we don't want dead cars on the site. You know, we have a process for dealing with that. So those are buyer FAQs answered. And with that, that's the end of the presentation. We created a coupon code, DEVC, so 20% off a featured listing. Or featured listings are $49, just a one-time fee, but you get 20% off. For anyone who wants to use that, reach out to us if you want help with pricing listings. As long as you're doing a featured listing, we help with all of that stuff. The free listings don't come with support, but we're happy to chat, with buyers if they have any questions about any Tesla that's listed on our site. You can find us at findmyelectric.com and at findmyelectric on Instagram. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for having me. And I love chatting with Tesla enthusiasts. You can always reach out to me, Brian at findmyelectric.com. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, I'm one of the co-founders. And yeah, I'm really passionate about EVs, Teslas, and love chatting with customers and people in the Tesla community, and it's always fun to do. So that's how you can reach me. And I'll open it up to kind of Q&A or just general chatting here. I'll stop sharing here. Unless, was there anything that anyone wanted to see specifically from anything I had here? Any slides, any question about that I need to go back to or anything?
Somebody asked a question in the chat. I don't have the chat up, but about a Model 3. What was it?
About a long-range Model 3.
Is Jamie still on here? Jamie, you were like, what about it? How much is it worth or what?
I'm still on here. What did you want?
You wrote in the chat, what about a long range Model 3?
Oh, on an earlier slide, Brian talked about the upsell value of used models, but didn't mention the long range Model 3. So that was, I was curious about that.
Oh yeah, let me go. Let's see. I think it was probably. Let's see. Probably this one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Actually, that was a typo. I should have had 3 and Y. Should have been 3 and Y in there. So Model 3 and Y long range, about 3K over MSRP. That might even actually creep up a little bit. Another, $500 to $1,000 here, as Tesla just raised the price a couple $1,000 more again on that. So yeah, I think I had one other typo too. I think I spelled desirable or desirability wrong twice. I'm like kind of a grammar nerd. So, but we've been pushing some dev updates, and I was up late last night too, working with our dev team and QAing some stuff. So maybe 1 or 2 spelling mistakes in here across the slides. But yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. Thanks very much. And their price raises have saved me over $50,000 by not buying a Tesla right now.
Yeah, we've heard that from other people, and it's kind of funny because like Elon talked about like with FSD being an appreciating asset, people kind of laughed at that, and I still think it's kind of hard to say any sort of thing that accumulates wear and tear is an appreciating asset, but there's something to that with all these price increases and stuff where if you bought a Model 3, say, and I said this kind of early on in the presentation, if you bought a Model 3 say in 2019 for 44 45 grand, and you put 20,000-30,000 miles on it, it's still probably worth a little more than you paid for it in a lot of cases, if it's just kind of a long range. So yeah, there's definitely something to be said for the value that stays, that's maintained over time on EVs, especially Teslas. And obviously we've got a little bit of help unfortunately from the inflationary status of the economy and stuff like that. That's a factor in this. But even if you take that off, I would say that you wouldn't have these production delays and these big numbers, but they would really hold their value quite well. And we've seen that like 30K floor kind of for the old Model S's and things like that. It's still, tough to get a Tesla for less than that. So.
I have a question. I thought of 2 people who would have really liked to see this presentation. Should I just wait till we have it? David, when will it be available? Because it was recorded, and remind me where it's available.
Yeah, it's been recorded, and it will be on our YouTube channel as soon as our YouTube person puts it up there. He hasn't put up last month's yet, so hopefully he'll get the 2 of those up there, you know, hopefully for the end of the month, but it might be next month before it gets up there.
And if they just go to findmyelectric.com or whatever it is, how much of this information can they find out about you all? If they watch this presentation, they'd find out a lot more.
Yeah, you know, in terms of like the kind of breakdown of this data, we don't really have a ton of that on the website. We have a bunch of blog posts about that, and we've got some in the queue that are coming out with some of this data as well, just to kind of summarize a few things. But yeah, the granular stuff about the, you know, like this slide and this with the examples, I mean, you can actually see these cars on the site. So if you go and you click include, so findmyelectric.com/listings, there's a checkbox there that says include sold listings. And you can check that box, and then you can filter and search, and you could see the asking price like this of vehicles that were sold. So it can give you an idea. It can help with market research, and you can see, and you can sort by, you know, age, and you can filter by you know, specific, like say you just 2022 with the refresh, you can filter by those too. And we built that so that people could get an idea of what to ask, you know, if they were listing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and if anyone has any questions too, they can always reach out, contact@findmyelectric.com, or if anyone wants to chat with me, Brian@findmyelectric.com, I'd be happy to chat about anything that was in the presentation or any questions people have.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And since we're all EV advocates there, do you have any kind of a referral code or something like that?
I don't know. Like, you mean a Tesla referral code, or like
when you're expanding to all EVs? I mean, I've always got people asking me where they could buy an EV or get a good deal or something like that, you know. So
yeah, no. So a couple things there. And actually, I'll just stop this here. Let me stop sharing so we can actually chat there. Are we all back on the regular chat? Everybody see everyone here?
Yep.
Okay. I'll pop that back up if anyone has a question on a specific slide. But yeah, so we don't have an affiliate program for Find My Electric yet for listings and things. That's something we've discussed internally, and not 100% sure if and when that's going to roll out, but it's something we've talked about. And then in terms of EV referral codes, you know, if someone wants to buy a new EV, you know, like Tesla had their referral program and things like that. That's been fairly popular over the years. We don't have that set up either through the Find My Electric structure. So I would say, if anyone wants to know, refer them to the website, and be happy to, you know, have them look over our inventory, ask us any questions, and chat from there. But in terms of those other programs, yeah, nothing set up there just yet.
be more specific. I'm looking for a little kickback.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good. I get where you're going with that. Yeah, and like I said, we've discussed an affiliate program for people who get referred, you know, and things like that. And then we've done, obviously we're, you know, vendor at Tesla Motors Club and advertised in a variety of places. So if you have a blog or you know, an Instagram account or a following of any sort of that, shoot me an email with that. You know, definitely be up for that. Looking into those types of opportunities too for advertising and shout outs and things like that. But yeah, if and when we roll out an affiliate program, I'll definitely let, we'll have a blog post about it. We'll post on social media and stuff like that. So.
I have a story to share about Carvana. I wanted to see what my 2014 Model S, or it's 2015. Yeah, it's a 2015 Model S would sell for. And they get very specific about condition. And so I disclosed that I had hail damage that was repaired except for the lift gate, because they, you know, they wanted to replace the entire lift gate for $4,000 or something. So I have dimples on the lift gate. Of course, most of the lift gate is glass, so we just didn't bother replacing it. I got an offer of $300 from Carvana, an instant offer of $300. It was so bizarre. And so I remember the funniest thing was their system automatically sent me an email a week or so later saying, "Don't let your $300 offer go bye-bye."
That must have been a bug. That's funny. You know, Carvana is interesting. There's a couple things that about Carvana with their instant offer program that are somewhat unique and notable. One is that it's very, very heavily algorithmically based. So a lot of times people will find that from week to week, you know, if you request an offer once a week, it will change dramatically. And we've heard that that is because allegedly Carvana is very data driven and has determined that a specific ratio of, you know, S to 3 to X to Y is optimal for their inventory. And if it falls outside of that ratio, they'll pay significantly less, not $300. That's kind of silly. That must have been a bug. But or if they need to acquire a certain number of, you know, Model 3 or Y based on that algorithmic sweet spot, they will vastly overpay. And then also we had heard that allegedly Carvana owns the bank that they do use financing for. And so they will sometimes overpay on the instant offer side because they look to make that up on the financing end. So they have that kind of built into their model. So those are a couple interesting things to think about with Carvana. Did you get any data, Jim, on the Hertz rental price?
Oh yeah, it was very interesting. The category you look under is green something or other models, green collection on the Hertz website, and they had only Model 3s and Model Ys.
Oh, interesting.
And,
they have Model Y.
Yeah,
it was 3 only.
And every address I put in, they were sold out. And I got to October, and they were still sold out on the Model 3 in October at Denver. I was putting in Denver International Airport. And so maybe they have fewer, I don't know. But at any rate, they're sold out even in October for the Model 3 rentals. The Model Y was available for $243 a day if you didn't pay now, and $209 a day if you paid for the full reservation in advance.
Wow, that's
So my Model X is my Model S is a bargain at $136 a day.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's available in October and June.
How many different people do you have typically, say, in a given month rent that? Is it, you know, like is it more common that someone will take it for the whole week, or is it changes hands multiple times in a week, or how does that typically work, or what have you seen?
Well, most of the rent, I've only had this on the program since 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I've had 3 rentals, and if you go to Turo.com and you put in a date and it's not available, it doesn't show you the car. But it also doesn't show you what dates are available. It just doesn't show you my car for that date if it's not available. So I don't think there are any forward reservations for it because I get notified about reservations. So I think that after this guy returns it today, I think that it'll be available. But it's been kind of fun because I'm able to track my Tesla on the app, and they sort of appreciate the customer service. I saw that it was down to 11 miles of range, and so I called the guy and I said, you got to get to a charging station, and I helped him do that because he hadn't really figured that out yet, or read the instructions sheet that I have in the car.
Sure. That makes sense. You know, for some people, it's probably their first time, you know, first time driving a Tesla. And like, you know, we said earlier, some people will do that as like an extended test drive, you know.
Yeah, in fact, all 3 of the renters, I have an app as a realtor. I have an app on my phone where I can find out what car, if I put in your cell number, it'll give me your name, your address, your age, and what cars you own and what properties you own. Over the years, not just now. And so I actually look up the phone number of everyone who rents my Tesla, and I can tell like whether they have one. And none of the 3 who have rented it so far have one. This particular guy drives a Honda Accord. So yeah, they're test driving a Tesla. Yeah,
and that's a great way, I think, for people to, you know, get I know Tesla does, obviously the test drives at the store. And then at some point, I think they did do some sort of extended thing, but it's still not the same as being able to rent something and then have it for a few days. And I mean, there's so much for people to take in, from just how regenerative braking works, right? And you don't need to slam on the brakes, and you can just kind of use the throttle to modulate the speed of the car in most cases. And from autopilot, and of course your 2015 has AP1, but it's still useful on the highway, and works reasonably well. And there's just there's a lot to play around with and think about there. And for a lot of people too, it's a bigger purchase. It's not not like you're buying a used Corolla. It's going to be tens of thousands of dollars, multiple, like I mentioned before. It's really hard to find a Tesla anywhere under 30 grand. Even 35 is pushing it, for an older Model S. So yeah, it's a great thing. I think it's great that people can rent on Turo, and as an owner, if you're having good luck with that, why not do it? Make the money, and everybody wins there, I think.
Yeah, and I get the same rental even with the dimples on the liftgate.
Yeah, that $300 is interesting. That's kind of funny. You must have got the automated email drip from them.
Yeah.
Don't miss
Yeah,
out.
of course. The other thing is that I'm looking at my because it's fun to track my car and see where it's been and where it is right now and how fast it's traveling. But I saw that the interior temperature was over 100 degrees where it was parked. So I texted the guy, since I had his number, and I told him about how we could leave the air conditioning on, and he thought that was so cool. Oh, here it is. I said, FYI, you can have the Tesla air conditioning remain on when you leave the car. It only consumes about 5 miles of range per hour of cooling. To leave it on after you park the car, touch the fan symbol towards the middle of the bottom of the screen, and you'll see an option to leave it on. There's also dog mode, which is cute because it displays a large image of the screen on the screen telling passersby what the interior temperature of the car is so that they don't break the window to save the dog. and he responded, awesome.
Yeah, there's so many things like that people don't know. Dog mode, right? There's, even now people, I think there are a couple aftermarket companies that make like window hangers. Like, hey, don't break the window, even though it's obviously there's the display, it shows the little, robot dog and the temperature, interior temperature of the car and whatever. But
you can also hear the air conditioning motor running.
Sure. Yeah. But a lot of people don't know, about that too, that's a thing. Even some people who are, relatively automotive savvy, but just haven't been exposed to the EV world, don't know little things like that. So yeah, that's from a customer service perspective, that's good that you can, good that you can message people and say, hey, here's a little tidbit you didn't know, and that might help acclimate people too to the Tesla world. They're thinking about buying, they're test driving the car, but they just didn't know about those things. So
Can't find your card, yeah.
in the case of the guy who was down to 12 miles of range, he really wasn't within 12 miles of any supercharger, or barely within 12 miles, but he was a couple miles from the Tesla store at 57 South Broadway. So I told him, put 5700 South Broadway in your navigation, and they have charging stations there. And he went over there and he said, boy, those people were so nice to me. And he plugged in, and they plugged him into a supercharger. Inside the garage, they have a supercharger that they use for their own purposes. The ones out in the parking lot are just level 2. So that was a really good sales opportunity too, because here he saw how nice the salespeople, the service people are at the Tesla store, and they gave him a supercharger plug-in.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, what's Denver like in terms of charging stations? Are they fairly common around that? I had heard.
Yeah, there are 10 in the metro area.
Okay.
Within the metro area, there are 10 superchargers. It's amazing. There's one 2 miles from my house, and since I have unlimited free, I charge there all the time.
Yeah, why not? Obviously in the last few years, Tesla's built out a lot more. I mean, there was a point a few years ago where we only had one here in Minneapolis, and now there's a lot more. But I've never been to Denver. I've got plans to go in about a month or so. But I've heard that Denver was one of the first U.S. cities to really have some a high level of EV adoption and chargers and things like that around, and just see a lot more EVs on the streets and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I see them all the time. Just at a red light yesterday, I saw 3 while I was waiting for the light to change.
Mm-hmm. I'd also heard that there's a fair bit of, I mean, they're limited, in general, but just that Rivians were, like, there's a good Rivian presence out in Denver and in Colorado in general.
Yeah, I've seen 3 or 4, and we had one at each of our last 2 electric vehicle roundups.
Oh, cool.
I just saw my first one the other day. I was so excited.
I've only seen one in the wild here, just one. It was a red one. It was red one, yeah, going around the lake by my house here. But
Wow.
Friend has a reservation, so he let me go with him on his first mile drive last week. It's pretty awesome.
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the Lightning. The YouTube video that you can see where it was reviewed professionally and test drive and so forth really makes it sound very appealing. And although I hate to give up my free electricity, which I have with my 2 Teslas, and go to the Lightning, now I see that what I can do is I'll put my Model X out to pasture for $2,000 or $3,000 a month and not worry about paying for electricity for the Lightning.
There you go. That wouldn't be bad. I was on Ford's website the other day, like a week ago, and I was looking at their configurator for Ford Lightning, and I checked the Lariat edition and this and that, and I got down the line, and then you get to the end, and it's just kind of like there's a button to learn more. It doesn't say anything about what you can expect for delay, no option to reserve, no option to. It's so different from what we're used to with Tesla and Rivian and everyone else, where you can do that. They just had almost no information. It was kind of disappointing.
Well, I think we will kind of bring this to a close. It's been pretty interesting. Jill, since I got bumped on the Zoom thing, it made you the host, so you're the host.
Oh, okay. So I have to end. All right.
If you go to the lower right-hand corner where it says more.
Well, I have an end button, not a leave button, but an end button.
No, but there's a
Oh,
there's a little box next to the leave that has 3 dots. It says more.
Yeah.
Click on that.
Uh-huh.
And then that will bring up a little menu where you can stop the recording.
Oh, right. You have recording to stop, not just to end it.
Oh, well, when I go on those 3 dots that say more, I just have live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on Twitch. I don't have end recording.
Oh, okay.
Let me go over here here's recording down at the bottom. Pause, stop recording. Okay, stop recording. Okay, I stopped recording.
Well, thank you all. I'm gonna click on my leave.
Okay, bye.
All right.
I'm taking my leave.
Thanks.
Bye.
Hey, thanks a lot, Brian.
It's good chatting with you. Yeah, thanks guys for having me. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up via email. If you want kind of just general questions, you can always reach out to our inbox and contact at Find My Electric or on the page. Someone from the team will get back to you. Otherwise, if you want to get me directly, it's brian@findmyelectric.com. I'm happy to chat with anyone. And if you guys have any questions about anything or anybody that sees this after the fact on YouTube in the future, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to chat, help with anything you need. And thanks for having me.
Great. Sounds
Thanks
good.
again.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.
All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.